I've been lucky enough to have ADK Microphones' entire solid-state T-FET lineup of mics here for the last few weeks, and what I've done is I've recorded a whole song using only ADK microphones. What we'll do is we'll go through source by source, and I'll tell you why I chose that mic and give you some sound samples, and at the end we'll build into the full song montage with full session files. First thing I want to do is just play you some acoustic guitar so you can hear these mics kind of from the darkest one to the brightest one and go through so you can kind of hear what each one sounds like and get an idea for their overall line. Let's take a listen to that. Let's start with electric guitar. On electric for the close mic, I chose a Hamburg 67 and then put some room mics in stereo on each side of the amp with some Berlin 47s. For the bass guitar amp, we chose to stick with the Hamburg 67 and get rid of the room mics, obviously. Let's just go back and forth between the line and just hearing the mic on the amp by itself. For acoustic guitar, I chose a Vienna 12 since it's in the chorus and things might get a little messy. I wanted to make sure I had a very clear and articulate mic to come through a possibly busy mix. For this open back banjo, I chose a Cremona 251. I still wanted something that was a little bit present on top, but these style microphones tend to be really open, yet deal with transients and harshness really well. It's a really sweet top end while still sounding open. For vocals, I'm going to give you two different flavors to choose from. I finished Jude's EP last month and we used a C12 style microphone, so I knew that would work and chose to pick a Vienna 12 as the main vocal mic. I'm also giving you a Hamburg 67 as an opposite sounding end of the spectrum so you can compare and contrast.
Me before you, don't know if I remember me before you. Driving down highways in the middle of the night, sure felt nice, but now I've put down those boots. And me before you had never been exposed to love and truth. Until the day I saw you smile, you said, boy, why don't you stay a while? And I did. Now we've been on this road for miles, and I can't help seeing myself and nobody else. It's you, girl. Me before you's driving way too fast. Me before you's got his head in the past. Me before you is a dark, cold, lonely night. And me before you always came in last, 'cause he ain't the guy that gets to wrap his arms around you, kiss you, make you laugh. Girl, I swear that I can't remember who I was me before you. Me before you, that boy was living life without a clue. Driving down highways in the middle of the night, it sure felt nice, but now I've put down those boots. And me before you was never able to heal these wounds. Until the day I saw you smile, you said, boy, why don't you stay a while? And I did. Now we've been on this road for miles, and I can't help seeing myself and nobody else. It's you, girl.
You're going to end up with a lot of files for pianos on this session, so I figured it'd be a good idea to walk you through everything we did, because you're going to end up with 2 sets of mics on the grand piano that you're seeing behind me, as well as a set of mics on an upright piano. So let's walk through all of that. The first set of mics is a pair of Vienna 12s. I've organized them in a Bloomline array, so they're both in figure 8. This is going to give you quite a wide stereo field. The second set of mics is a pair of Berlin 47s in cardioid closer to the strings. This is going to give you a more direct and intimate tone so that you can mix and match between the 2 sets of mics. We had an idea to double up on the melodic piano part that you're going to hear in a lot of the verses. It's a really simple little run, so we decided to double that up on an upright piano as well. This piano is really unique. It's a very small, kind of tiny upright piano. It's a kawaii as well, but I hardly ever tune this, so you might get some cool chorus effects blending between the run on the grand piano and doubling it up on this one. So play around and see what you like best. I might have forgotten to mention, but I've put the piano in MS with these 2 Munich M7s. This one's in cardioid, that's your mid signal. This one is in figure 8, and that's your side signal. We were able to utilize almost every single mic that ADK makes in their solid state mic lineup for the drum set behind me. Typically, you wouldn't use only condenser microphones for a drum session, but it was quite easy to pull that off considering all the options you have on the ADK mics between the polar patterns, your pads, and your roll-off. So let's walk through each of the choices that I made on the drum set. For the space stereo overheads, we chose to use a pair of Vienna 12 mics. This is probably the brightest mic that ADK makes in their solid state mic lineup. We chose a cardioid pattern for those and the less severe -8 dB pad. It was a little tight getting a larger mic on the snare, but thanks to a latch leg extra boom, we were able to fit it in. We chose a Hamburg 67 in cardioid with a minus 16 dB pad and the more severe roll-off. Toms were a pair of the Berlin 47 microphones in cardioid with the more severe minus 16 pad as well as the first roll-off setting. For kick drum, since I'm only using one microphone, I kind of split the difference and chose to use a Frankfurt 49 since it's got a really nice low end. I've got it in cardioid with the minus 16 pad. Now, since we don't have an inside and outside mic to kind of mix between, I kind of split the difference and moved the mic towards the top of the shell, angled in. This is a technique that you'll see a lot of engineers like Eric Valentine utilize when they're just miking the outside of a kick drum. Instead of using the roll-off on the mic, we actually all preferred the roll-off built into my API console. It was a little bit more subtle than the first roll-off, and it just sounded a lot better, so we went with that one. I'm almost always using a pair of ribbon mics to do drum rooms in my space, but in this instance, I chose the Munich M7s. I think they have a really sweet high end, and I really like what they do on the low end. It's punchy, but never really gets out of control. I put them in figure 8 just to kind of mimic a ribbon mic a little bit more since that's what I'm used to in here. That also gave me the ability to control the reflections a little bit more. When you put mics into figure 8, you also get a little bit of a roll off on the high end and a bit more exaggerated proximity effect, so it definitely added some beef to the signal. The only other thing I did on the Munich 7 room mics was that I ran them through my Heritage Grandchild compressor. It's probably doing about 3 or 4 dB of compression. It's just adding a little bit of energy to everything since all the other mics on this drum set are completely flat without any processing. I want to talk about the snare drum very briefly. Once I had finished the sessions and got to the mixing stage, I noticed that there was just a little bit too much hi-hat bleed in the snare mic for my liking. I knew this was a problem the day we were recording. I'd talked to Keith, the drummer, about it a little bit. He was playing really light sticks. He was playing really light on the hi-hats. The problem was in the choruses when the hi-hats were open and he started hitting. It's just a little too much bleed. And, unfortunately, that's just the reality of miking things this way. When you have a really tight drum set with a large diaphragm condenser on a snare and the hi-hats are like right here, just not much you can do about it. It's just the nature of the beast. So modern problems require modern solutions. I took about 5 minutes the next day. I came back in. I did a quick snare hit with the same mic, same position, same snare. And I'm going to give you a sample track that you can mix in just a little bit if you'd like. I found that I just wanted a little bit more snap and high end on the snare. And when I started EQing that into the original mic, just made the hi-hats bleed a little too much for my liking. So I'm not a fan of samples, but this is a sample of the same drum. I tuned it up just slightly because that was another change I wanted to make. After the fact, I was like, I wish I would have tuned the snare a little higher, but I think once you have that sample, you should be pretty set. So just realize there's a snare sample, same snare and everything. So use it if you'd like, but just the nature of doing things this way. Before we move to the full song montage, don't forget to download the full session files in the link in the video description. If you're a Pro Tools user, everything's already organized and laid out in a Pro Tools session for you. If you prefer to use another DAW, just go into the audio folder, drag all the files out into your DAW. Everything's bounced out from the top of the grid and it should work perfectly.
Me before you, don't know if I remember me before you. Driving down highways in the middle of the night, it sure felt nice, but now I've put down those boots. And me before you had never been exposed to love and truth, until the day I saw you smile. You said, boy, why don't you stay a while? I did. Now we've been on this road for a while. I can't help seeing myself and nobody else. It's you, girl. Me before you's got his head in the past. Me before you is a dark, cold, lonely night. And me